Dave Sharma, let's move on. We spoke earlier about Tony Burke refusing to answer whether Benjamin Netanyahu would be arrested if he were to ever visit Australia as per the ICC's ruling. Dave, I've got to say, it baffles me that Penny Wong, now Tony Burke, can't even bring themselves to say no and that there is no moral equivalence between Israel and Hamas. How much of Labor's response to the ICC ruling is political, and particularly for Tony Burke and his Western Sydney seat?
Well, I think their response has been disgraceful. I think the ICC has completely overreached here. They've ignored one of their own foundational principles, which is that of complementarity, which is when a country has a national court system that is operational and that holds leaders to account, it should be allowed to operate. The ICC is meant to be a court of last resort, not a court of first resort. Israel has a functioning judicial system. Prime Minister Netanyahu, in fact, is before the courts right now on unrelated charges in Israel. So the ICC should have respected that. The fact that they haven't means that, in my mind, we should not be cooperating with this decision, which would mean we should be saying quite clearly that we would not enforce an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'd point out, I mean, the United States has obviously said they're not going to. So has France, for that matter. They've said, we do not consider this arrest warrant valid and we would not enforce it.
A report published in the Daily Telegraph today shows anti-Semitic incidents have increased by 317% since October last year. The report details horrific incidents of abuse and violence, including, and shockingly, against Jewish children in Australia. Is the government doing enough to protect the Jewish community? If not, what more should they be doing? And is the government actually part of the problem, Dave?
Well, I don't think they're doing enough to protect the Jewish community, and I think the facts you just cited bear that out. And the anecdotes you hear from members of the Jewish community who say they've never been so frightened to be Jewish in Australia in their lives, that they're scared to, visit certain areas at certain times. They're scared to be identified as Jewish. They won't wear, religious symbols. That's a shocking indictment on this government. I mean, to start with, they could start to listen to their own specially appointed special envoy to combat anti-Semitism, who recommended a judicial inquiry into anti-Semitism on campuses. The government has ignored that recommendation. There's a lot more they could be doing. And to be honest, a lot of the language that some of the senior ministers have used has only inflamed this. They've been reckless, I think, with their language in a way that has basically legitimised or encouraged hatred towards Israel, and that has bled out towards hatred towards Jewish people.
Yeah, it's really sad that it's, in a way become normalised. It's just terrible that is where we're at in society right now. Dave Sharma, really good to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this evening.
Thanks so much.